Hello and welcome to another MLB DFS slate. I am your host, Tyler, and breaking down the slate using our LineStar tools here. Now, let's just jump right in. We'll start off by looking at projected ownership, as that is my favorite part to always start on a DFS slate. And we'll go to the pitchers here. So the highest owned pitchers on DraftKings, George Kirby, Hunter Brown. I think both of these guys are likely being owned right around they should. Both of them, for their salaries, the best fantasy points per dollar plays. You have Nestor Cortez coming in a little bit under them, and he is a fine play as well. After all, he does have the highest projection and likely the highest ceiling of any of the guys on the slate today. So I do understand why those three are kind of a step above everybody else. Now, if we scroll down for some pivot options, I think Michael Grove from the Dodgers is actually really interesting. He has decent K upside. He's super cheap. His line for strikeouts today is 4.5. So if he's getting that, he's going to pay off his 5.6 salary. So he's one pivot I like. Another pivot that I think is kind of interesting is Plesac versus the Oakland A's. Look, we know the Oakland A's is a bad team, a bad offense. We picked on them all last year. Plesac doesn't have the highest of upsides, but his upside is high enough versus A's team. So he's another option, I think, if you want a lower priced pitcher or a lower owned pitcher. But the guys at the top of the ownership are absolutely worth the money and risk of ownership. Let's also flip to FanDuel and just look at their ownership real quick. Now, Plesac, highest owned over there, likely because he is coming at $7,400, so much cheaper than guys like Hunter Brown and Kirby and Cortez. Personally, I would be taking Brown, Kirby, or Cortez on this and just eating that chalk on FanDuel and moving on. And now let's take a look at some stacks. So for our stacks today, the highest owned stacks are the Dodgers and the Boston Red Sox. We got a little update change there as the Royals have sneaked in a little bit there, which does make sense versus Barrios. Barrios did get blown up a little bit, but let's really go more in depth about the Dodgers. Now, as far as a ownership standpoint, I wouldn't be too worried about fading the highest owned stack. After all, 11 game slate. The product owned here, 64% for this stack. So not super high owned here. It is one of the highest projections on the slate and has a decent ceiling as well. So, but if you use our tools, our highest projected stack is the Houston Astros. No surprise. Versus Matt Boyd. My home run call for the day is Yordan Alvarez. So you obviously know I like him. And I like really all of the Astros. The only thing with them is that they are expensive. Throwing in McCormack brings the average stack price down a little bit, but still coming up almost $24K of your salary. And if McCormack doesn't steal a base, he's likely not going to provide you enough upside there. But they are an interesting stack. I also do like the Dodgers, as we talked about. The Red Sox are coming in high owned. All of those are interesting. If we go to the leverage side, we have the Royals here, which we know the Royals have popped up as one of the higher owned stacks on the slate. But then they also have some really nice leverage stacks you can go off of that. It is against Barrios. Barrios can be a good pitcher, but also can get blown up. So I understand why someone may want to go here with some leverage. One of my favorite low-owned stacks today is the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think that they have the best game environment. Cutter Crawford is kind of not that great of a pitcher. 5.59 ERA, 1.41 whip, 4.45 FIP, allowing over 2 fantasy points per plate attempt. Meanwhile, that's what this stack for Pittsburgh can get to here. So I think Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense to go for a low owned stack. Obviously, the other stacks we like can't ever cut out Houston. Toronto is there. They are going against Brady Singer, though. Singer's been a good pitcher here. So I think those are kind of the places you can go. Astros, Dodgers. I don't love the Angels. Angels are going against George Kirby, who is a real high upside young pitcher. But Angels do hit well against righties, so I understand that. From a leverage standpoint, the Angels make sense just because Kirby is going to be one of the higher owned pitchers. You also can't go wrong with Baltimore. Baltimore's in a good spot. They've been hitting really well. So I like all those, and I think that will do it for today. Quick rundown. Pitchers, I think you can eat the chalk if you're on FanDuel. Go with Kirby, Cortez, or why am I blanking on the last guy? And then as far as stacks, Houston, Pittsburgh, Dodgers, Boston, all look pretty good to me. Anyways, you guys have a good one. I will see you soon. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.